Lewis Hamilton put Ferrari on top in Hungary. Charles Leclerc finished only 0.148 seconds behind, and the nearest non-Ferrari car was around half a second away. But the most important discovery was not the headline lap time. Ferrari's data suggested the SF26 was finally connecting its rear suspension, ride height, braking stability, and aerodynamic balance through the slow corners. The source does not confirm that engineers publicly revealed secret figures, but it does support something potentially bigger. Hamilton may have exposed the exact performance window Ferrari has been chasing for weeks, and if the team can repeat it, this could change far more than one practice session. Subscribe to the channel. The first thing Ferrari needed to understand was whether Hamilton's fastest lap came from one perfect moment or from a genuine change in the behavior of the car. That distinction is enormous. One perfect lap can happen when fresh tires, low fuel, clean air, and track conditions all align at exactly the right time. A genuine change can be repeated, and repetition is what Ferrari has been searching for. Hamilton's lap of 1 minute, 18.729 seconds, placed him at the top of the second practice session. Leclerc followed only 0.148 seconds behind. Lando Norris was the nearest driver outside Ferrari, but he was already around half a second away. On the timing screen, the message looked simple. Ferrari was in control, but engineers do not judge a car from one number. They examine how the lap was created. Where did Hamilton brake? How stable was the rear of the car? How quickly could he return to the power? Did the tires remain inside the correct temperature range? And most importantly, did the car behave in the same predictable way from one corner to the next? That is where Hungary became such a valuable test. The Hungaroring contains a long sequence of slower corners. The driver is constantly braking, turning, accelerating, and preparing for the next direction change. There's almost no time to recover. A small problem in one corner can damage the next two. If the rear moves unexpectedly, the driver loses confidence. If the front refuses to turn, the driver must wait. If the tires begin sliding, the grip disappears even faster. That is why Ferrari's recent work on the rear suspension mattered so much. The team had been trying to understand how the suspension worked with the brakes, the ride height, and the aerodynamic balance. Those systems may sound separate. Inside a Formula One car, they are closely connected. The suspension controls how the car moves over the track. The ride height affects how air flows beneath it. The braking phase changes the weight distribution between the front and rear. And the aerodynamic balance determines which end of the car produces the most grip. If one area moves outside its ideal range, the driver feels the entire car change. Imagine carrying a tray filled with glasses. When the tray stays level, every step feels easy. Tilt one side slightly, and suddenly every movement becomes cautious. Ferrari had spent several weekends trying to keep that tray level. Hamilton's practice lap suggested the team may finally have found a better balance. But this was not a secret number revealed publicly by Ferrari's engineers. The source does not provide hidden telemetry, tire temperatures, suspension measurements, or a direct statement from the engineering team explaining Hamilton's data. What it does provide is the result. Hamilton was fastest. Leclerc was extremely close. Both Ferraris performed strongly, and the car appeared well suited to the slower corners Ferrari expected to favor its recent development direction. That is the evidence. The deeper explanation remains an interpretation of what those results may mean. And that interpretation begins with consistency. One fast Ferrari could be the result of one extraordinary driver lap. Two fast Ferraris are more difficult to dismiss. Leclerc had already led the first practice session with a lap of 1 minute, 19.075 seconds. Verstappen finished almost half a second behind him. Hamilton was third, just over half a second away from Leclerc. Then Hamilton responded in the second session. He did not merely close the gap. He moved ahead. Leclerc stayed within less than 0.2. That gave Ferrari something far more valuable than a single headline. It gave the team comparison. Two drivers, two sessions, two different moments at the top. Ferrari could now study what both laps had in common. Was the car gaining time through the same slow corners? Were both drivers able to accelerate earlier? Did the rear remain stable under braking? Was the improvement visible across several runs, or only on fresh tires? Those are the questions that matter, because the car does not need to feel perfect. It needs to behave predictably. A difficult car can still be fast if the driver knows exactly what it will do. A car that changes its behavior without warning becomes much harder to trust. Hamilton's experience makes that difference especially important. He has driven cars with enormous grip. He has driven cars that moved constantly, and he has driven cars that looked fast on the timing screen while demanding far more effort than the results suggested. So when Hamilton produces the fastest lap, Ferrari is not only receiving a result, it is receiving a reference. The engineers can compare his steering movements, his braking points, his throttle application, his corner exits, and the way the car responds as the lap develops. Again, the source does not publish those figures, but this is the type of analysis Ferrari would use internally to understand why the lap worked. And the answer may be less dramatic than a new component. Ferrari may simply be learning how to place the SF26 inside the correct operating window. That window is the range where the tires, suspension, aerodynamics, and balance all work together. Too cold, and the tires cannot generate enough grip. Too hot, and the rubber begins to slide. Too high, and the car may lose aerodynamic performance. Too low, and it may become unstable over bumps or curbs. Too much grip at the front, and the rear can feel nervous. Too much stability at the rear, and the car may refuse to turn. The fastest setup is usually a compromise. Not perfect in every area, just strong enough in the places that matter most. Hungary may have allowed Ferrari to find that compromise more easily, and confidence becomes even more important when the track changes. More rubber will build on the racing line. That can increase grip, but increased grip can also change the balance. The front tires may begin responding more strongly. The rear may become more sensitive. The car may sit differently under braking. A setup that worked in practice can suddenly feel too aggressive. Ferrari must predict that change before it happens. That is not guesswork. It is one of the hardest parts of engineering a race weekend. The team uses practice data to estimate how the car will behave later. But this Friday was interrupted. That makes the prediction less complete. The red flag caused by Franco Colapinto's accident reduced useful running for several rivals. It also changed the sequence of the session. Some teams lost planned long runs. Some drivers may not have completed qualifying simulations. Some tires were cooled before they could be used properly. That means Ferrari's own data may be strong, but the comparison remains uncertain. McLaren may return much closer. Mercedes may find performance. Verstappen may produce a lap that changes the entire order. Ferrari cannot prepare as though the half-second advantage is guaranteed. It has to prepare as though the gap does not exist. That mindset protects the team from false confidence, because the most dangerous mistake after a strong Friday is believing the work is finished. It is not. The work has only changed. Before practice, Ferrari needed to find speed. After practice, Ferrari needs to understand and preserve it. That is a more delicate challenge. Searching for performance allows bold changes. Protecting performance requires restraint. The engineers may see one area that can be improved, but changing it may disturb two areas they're already working. The drivers may ask for more confidence, but creating that confidence may reduce the lap time. The team may identify a safer approach for Leclerc's car, but that approach may compromise the balance. Every decision now carries a cost, and Leclerc's earlier mechanical warning makes the cost even harder to judge. The source confirms that he reported something had broken. It does not specify the component. It does not confirm a gearbox problem. It does not connect the issue with Ferrari's recent suspension work. That uncertainty must remain clear. But from Ferrari's perspective, the lack of a public explanation does not reduce the seriousness of the investigation. The team still has to determine whether the problem was isolated, whether it could return, and whether it requires any protective action. If Ferrari finds a simple cause, the tension decreases. If the cause remains uncertain, the team faces a difficult choice: attack with full performance, or protect the car. A conservative choice may reduce risk. It may also surrender the opportunity. An aggressive choice may keep Ferrari at the front. It may also increase the fear of another failure. That is where the engineering story becomes emotional. Everyone inside the garage knows how rare a strong opportunity can be. Hamilton knows he has a car capable of leading. Leclerc knows he has the pace to challenge him. Vasseur knows the circuit may suit Ferrari better than several others. The engineers know the development direction may finally be producing clear results, and that makes the possibility of losing everything feel even heavier. Pressure is not created only by weakness. Sometimes it is created by potential. The closer a team gets to success, the more painful every mistake becomes. Ferrari is now close enough to imagine pole position, close enough to imagine controlling the race, Close enough to believe that the SF26 may have found a stronger operating window. That belief raises the stakes, because now the team must prove the car can remain fast when the conditions become less forgiving. Qualifying will remove much of the uncertainty around fuel loads and preparation plans. The rivals will push harder. The track will become more crowded. Tire preparation will become more difficult, and there will be fewer opportunities to recover from a mistake. Hamilton may have only one final lap to reproduce the performance. Leclerc may have only one chance to take the advantage back. At that moment, Ferrari will discover whether the practice data created genuine understanding or simply confidence. Those two things can look identical until pressure arrives. Confidence says the car was fast. Understanding explains how to make it fast again. Confidence celebrates first place. Understanding prepares for the next one. Ferrari now needs a second, because the biggest value of Hamilton's Hungary test is not that he topped the session. It is that his lap may provide a reference for the entire package. A reference for tire preparation. A reference for braking stability. A reference for rear suspension behavior. A reference for how the car needs to sit on the track. And a reference for how the driver must connect each slow corner with the next. That reference can guide Ferrari, but only if the engineers identify the correct lesson. If they focus only on the final lap time, they may miss the real discovery. If they focus only on making the car feel easier, they may remove performance. If they assume the rivals are truly far behind, they may stop searching too early. And if they ignore Leclerc's warning, they may protect the wrong priority. This is why the next phase of the weekend matters so much. Ferrari has enough information to believe. Now it needs enough understanding to act. Hamilton has shown what the SF26 can do when the pieces align. Leclerc has confirmed that the car's pace is not limited to one driver. The Hungaroring has rewarded the area Ferrari expected to improve. And the timing screen has placed the team in the position everyone wanted. But the final answer remains hidden. Can Ferrari keep the car inside that performance window when the fuel changes, the track evolves, the tires age, and the rivals attack? If the answer is yes, Hamilton's practice data may become the clearest sign, yet that Ferrari is beginning to master the car. If the answer is no, the fastest lap will become something much more frustrating. Proof that the performance exists, and proof that Ferrari still cannot hold on to it.